వక్రతుంట మహాకాయ సూర్యకోటి సమప్రభా నిర్విఘ్నం కురు మే దేవ సర్వకార్యేషు సర్వదా శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః శ్రీమాత్రే నమః నమస్తే ఎవ్రీవన్ ఇన్ టుడేస్ సెషన్ we are going to review the nama Padha Dvaya Prabha Jala Parakೃತ Saroruha. The entire line is one nama. Vasinyadi Devatas are describing the namas in Shakti Kootam. Shakti Kootam is the Moola Mantra's third Kootam. This is Srimad Vagbhava Kootam, Madhya Kootam, and Shakti Kootam. Shakti Kootam is the region below the hip. So we were reviewing the two thighs, the knees, the Janu portion here. Now this nama is going to describe the two Paadham. Padha Dvayam. Dvayam means two. Two Paadham. Padha Dvayam. Padha Dvaya Prabha Jala Parakೃತ Saroruha. Let's first look at the components in this nama. Padha Dvayam, the two divine feet of Sri Lalitambika, has Prabha. Prabha means radiance, great radiance, that all the other radiances are emanating only from this radiance. This gives radiance to everything else. So that's Prabha. Jaalam. Jaalam, here, very special usage. Jaalam, think of it as a net. How can we understand Jaalam? Say you have a room and you are switching on a light. As soon as the prabha of the light comes, the radiance of the light comes, immediately the room is fully filled with the net, as if it is a net of the light's radiance. The entire room is filled with light. So think of another example. Okay, so you're getting up in the morning and you're seeing the sun rise in the east. Immediately as the sun rises, the entire universe is filled with that prabha jalam. It's as if like a net, that kanti is there everywhere. Right? That's the prabha jalam. Prabha means radiance, the radiance emanating from Sri Lalitambika's Paadham. That is prabha jalam. It's like a net, that radiance, that kanti is filled in the entire universe for all the beings. And that Kanti, obviously, Parakrita, it gains victory over Saroruha, the Sarojam or the lotus flowers. So, Ambal has two divine feet. The Kanti from her feet exceeds, wins over, triumphs Parakrita, the Kanti that comes from lotus flower, Saroruham. That's the overall meaning. See, when we think of lotus, lotus is soft, beautiful, and radiant. Ambal's Paadham is also soft, beautiful, and radiant. In spite of that, it appears to be similar. Oh, this is also soft, this is also soft. This is also very beautiful to look at, this is also very beautiful to look at. It feels like they appear to be similar, but the divine feet of Sri Lalitambika clearly trumps over the lotus very, very easily, says Vasinyadi Devatas in this nama. Because they are not referring to an ordinary lotus flower that gets bloomed in a pond. The lotus flower that is referred to here, Ambal's Paadham, is Paadha Kamalam, Paadha Saroruham. This, for every jnani ever there is, they long to reach this feat. Ambal's Padham is the permanent jnana sthanam that every jiva must long to reach. So this is no ordinary Padham. This Padha Kamalam is the one that's the purpose of every jiva. So it clearly trumps over Saroruham, which is the lotus that blooms in the pond. So, Vasinyadi Devatas have specially bestowed this nama that describes the indescribable Kanti Samoham at the Sahasrara Chakra of the Sadhaka. So, that's only when a Sadhaka reaches the Sahasrara Chakra, that's when the Sadhaka will experience the divine feet of Shiva Shakti. And that's the reason why this Ambal's Padha Kamalam is way more superior than any other lotus flower, any other Saroruham. No wonder it easily triumphs the fame of lotus flower. Parakrita Saroruha. Parakrita means that which triumphs over Saroruham. Saroruham here means lotus flowers. Now let's look at lotus flowers. Wherever possible, we will compare it with lotus flower and see how it wins over, how Ambal's Paadham wins over this lotus flower. Lotus flower. Lotus flower is very beautiful. Ambal's Paadham is also very, very beautiful. Lotus flower has two shades of color. If you recall, if you see a lotus flower, there is a shade of a white, and then there is another color shade, which is like a rose, a pink, or double shade. Okay, there it has two shades, white and another color. Pada Dvayam also has two colors. See, if you see the two pada dvayam, dvayam means two, pada dvayam means 2 feet. The 2 feet is the Shiva and the Shakti. So this nama being in this very special Kootam here, the third Kootam here of Sri Lalitambika is a representative of Guru Paduka. So the shloka that is described in the Bhashyam for this says, Vande Guru Pada Dvandam, Guru Pada Dvandam, the Pada Dvandam, Pada Dvaya, right? Vande Guru Pada Dvandam. I bow to the Guru Padukas, the two Padukas of the Guru. The Padukas of the Guru is the feet of Sri Lalitambika. That's the significance of Guru Paduka. Vande Guru Pada Dvandam Avang Manasa Gocharam. It's beyond something that we can describe or beyond something that we can comprehend. The kirti of it is so great that it is beyond the perception of anybody or to say something about it, because that's the significance of it. Guru Padaka is the most sacred thing that there is ever. And then, just like this lotus has two colors, a white and other color, the Guru Padaka that is described here says Rakta Shukla Prabha Mishram. Rakta Shukla Varnam. Shukla Varnam means Shukla means white color. White color is the Suddha Sattvam of Lord Shiva, Shiva's pa. One, it has two colors, it seems, Guru Paduka. One is the white color, which is representative of Lord Shiva's, and the other one is Rakta Varnam. Shukla Varnam, Rakta Varnam. Shukla Varnam is the white of Lord Shiva. Rakta Varnam is the red color of Sri Lalitambika. So this Guru Paduka mantram says here, Rakta Shukla Prabha Mishram. Rakta is red, Shukla is white. So just like the lotus has two different colors, the Guru Paduka also has two different colors. And what are those two colors? One is Shuklam, which is the white color, and the other one is Raktam, which is the red color. Atharkem Traipuram Mahaha. It exceeds the bliss of all three worlds. That's the significance of this very, very special nama that describes the Guru Padukas. So, red and white combined, Rakta Shukla Varnam, Shiva Shakti. That's the significance of this Pada Dvayam, the two Padas. Now, the Prabha that is described in this Nama. See, Pada Dvayam has Prabha. How is that Prabha? Prabha Jaalam. It's the Prabha is Rakta Prabha and Shukla Prabha. That means Shukla Prabha is white, pure white, Suddha Sattva Jnanam. That's Shivam. Rakta Prabha means everything else that moves in the universe. That is red color, which is the Shakti. And only because of this red color, the Rakta Prabha, we all exist. And we are all born, we are all born with a very special Janma called Manushya Janma. And the Paadham, the Pada Dvayam of Sri Lalitambika, worshipping this Pada Dvayam in this Nama, what it does is it, it, it will help us as Manushas who have taken Manusha Janmas to use our Janma for good use, to put our Janma for good use and reach Shivam. That is our purpose. Hence, that's the Prabha Jalam. The Kirti of this is that this Prabha that comes out of this Pada Dvayam takes us to Shivam. So in this one, how the Kanti is that, see, these namas describe all the concepts in Sri Vidya. So In this nama, the divine feet is right here. One can express, a sadhakara jiva can express the pada dvayam of Lord Shiva and Goddess Shakti in the Sahasrara Padmam, only at the top. For that, if we have to experience the Padam of Shiva Shakti in our Sahasraram, that means the sadhaka has to cross the Shat Chakras. From Mooladharam all the way, the Kundali Shakti has to go up and up and up and up. And it's not an easy process. It requires very strict discipline and great sadhaka and great bhakti. And only then we can go all the way. Our Jiva Shakti will go all the way to Sahasrara, where we will experience the bliss of Shiva Shakti. And that's the Padadvayam. At that time, the Prabha Jaalam is indescribable in the Sahasraram. Now, in Soundarya Lahari, Acharya describes a shloka where he shows the very many ways in which Ambal's, Sri Lalitambika's Paadham wins over the lotus flower. That's our nama, right? Padadvaya Prabhajalam. How is it? Parakrita Saroruha. This Padadvayam wins over. Parakrita means it triumphs the lotus flower. So Acharya in Soundarya Lahari has a very beautiful shloka that shows the very many ways in which Sri Lalitambika's feet wins over the lotus flower. Parakrita Saroruha. And let's recite that shloka first. हिमानि हन्तव्यं हिमगिरिनिवासैकचतुरौ निशायां निद्राणां निशिचरमभागे च विशतौ वरं लक्ष्मीपात्रं श्रियमतिसृजन्तौ समहिनां सरोजं त्वत्पादौ जननि जयतः चित्रमिह किम्. In this shloka, it's a very beautiful shloka that Acharya has composed. In this, the first part will talk about lotus, and the next part will talk about Devi's feet. Okay, so Himani Hantavyam means something related to what lotus does. How Ambal's Paadham exceeds, and he will Acharya will explain in the second half of the line. So Himani Hantavyam for lotus, Himagiri Nivasaika Chaturo for Ambal's feet. Nishayam Nidranam for lotus, Nishicharamabhage Vishatau is for Ambal's feet. Varam Lakshmi Patram for lotus, Shriyamati Srijantau Samainam for Ambal's Padam. After that, he says, Sarojam Tvat Padho, you have this very special lotus, your Padha Kamalam, Janani Jayataha, your Padam. Obviously, Vinsoramma, Janani Jayataha, Chitra Mehakim. What is the, how can they ever compare it to your lotus? Chitra Mehakim, what is the, you cannot even compare it. How can they even compare your feet with lotus, Amma? Your feet is clearly superior to a lotus. That's the exact same concept our Nama says. Parakrita Saroruha. What triumphs over the lotus? Padadvayam. Ambal's divine feet. So let's look at the three examples that Acharya quotes in the shloka where he describes Ambal's feet is clearly this Pada Kamalam, the Pada Charanam of Sri Lalitambika is clearly superior over the lotus. So he gives three examples. First he says Himani Hantavyam. Himani Hantavyam means lotus cannot withstand cold temperatures. What will it do? What will it happen if we put a flower in a cold temperature? It will immediately extreme, like this mountain is very cold, right? What will happen? It will immediately shrink and fade and it will wilt, right? So, Acharya says, Himani Hantavyam. This lotus Amma, it cannot withstand any cold temperature. But how is your feet? Himagiri Nivasa Eka Chaturo. Himagiri, you are born in Himalayas. So, your Nivasa Sthanam is in Himalayas. Eka Chaturo. Chaturo means you are an expert in being in the cold. This lotus flower, as soon as it sees the cold, it will just shrink and wilt. Whereas you are an expert, Amma. You are a Nivasa Eka Chatura, you are an expert in cold. Do you know why? Goddess is born in Himalayas, the mountain which is very, very cold. And after having born in Himalayas, Ambal has gone all over Himalayas. She has done Sancharam in Himalayas. She does Ananda Vasam in Himalayas. She is expert in handling cold. So, unlike the lotus flower, Ambal's lotus, the Paadham, the Paadha Kamalam, is very skillful in walking through the cold. So that's the first thing it says. Also, not only born in Himalayas, Ambal is also married to Lord Shiva. Where does Lord Shiva reside? Lord Shiva resides in Mount Kailash. So Ambal also resides in Mount Kailash. And that Mount Kailasham is also a very, very cold place. So Acharya clearly says, you are born in Himalayas, so you know how to withstand the cold. You know, your Paadham knows. You've walked all over Himalayas. And then you are married in Kailasham again. So that is also a cold place. Amma, you are Nivasa Eka Chatura. You are an expert in cold weather, Amma. Your Padakamalam is clearly winning over this lotus, which what will happen? It will shrink and fade in the um, snow. So, lotus runs in shame and unable to match the radiance of Ambal's Padam, it runs away. So, this is the first example where Acharya says a lotus is no match to Ambal's Padam. Then the next example Acharya says is Nishayam Nidranam. Nidra means sleep. When the night comes, what will the lotus do? Only in the daytime the lotus is fully bloomed. In the night time, in the moonlight, the lotus shrinks. The lotus closes at night. So the time it is in bloom is only for some part of the day, right? The night time it just closes itself. So Nishayam Nidranam, it sleeps at night. Huh? Says Acharya in this very beautiful expression. But how is Ambal's Padam? Nishicarama Bhagecha Vishatav. Nishi means night. Charamam means the end, the latest part of the night. What's the last part of the Nishi Charama Bhagam? What's the last part of the night? Last part of the night is literally the early morning hours. We call that as the time of Brahma Muhurta, very early morning. Nishi Charama Bhagam, last part of the night. The Charama Bhagam, at that time, that's the best time for praying to Sri Lalitambika. Nishi Charama Bhage. At that time, if you pray, what happens? Bhagecha Vishato. The At that time, when we pray to Sri Lalitambika, Acharya says the jnanam will blossom. That's why everybody says Brahma Muhurta Dhyanam is very, very important to get that early morning hours. Vishato, jnanam Vishato. That time the Jiva Brahma Aikyam is realized when we do meditation in the Brahma Muhurta time. So that Jnanam is always well lit. The Jnanam that we get from praying to the Pada Kamalam of Sri Lalitambika is always lit, whether it is day or night or morning or evening, it is always lit. That Jnanam is Swayam Prakasam. So it's always well lit. Whereas look at this lotus. What happens to the lotus in the night? Nishayam Nidranam. It just sleeps in the night, Amma. How can we ever compare your Pada Kamalam to this ordinary lotus? Is the second example that Acharya says here. Then Acharya gives a third example. Varam Lakshmi Patram Shriyamati Srijantau Samainam. Varam Lakshmi Patram. Lotus is the abode of Sri Mahalakshmi. So Lotus gives a place to reside for Sri Mahalakshmi. This is the guna of lotus. This implies, that you have a lotus and the Kaulacharyas who use lotus to worship the Devi outside. Okay, that is called as Kaulacharam. It's a new term that we are introducing. So those who do external worship pray to the Devi as being in the lotus. Okay, so that any external form of worship where we think that Sri Mahalakshmi resides in the lotus is called Kaulacharam. That's an example of a Kaulacharam. Whereas, so that is Varam Lakshmi Patram. This is a place for lotus is a place for Lakshmi to reside. Whereas how is Devi's feet? Shriyamati Srijantau Samainam. The lotus feet, the Pada Kamalam of Sri Lalitambika, it can give all the Lakshmis there is. There is only one Lakshmi that this lotus can hold, whereas Ambal's Pada Kamalam can give all the Ashtalakshmis to anybody who prays to her. Lotus feet of goddess pours out Lakshmi Sampat to everyone that worships her. So this is the next example that Acharya is talking about. Now let's take it one more step further. The center of the lotus. The center of the lotus is very, very special. We can see that there is a stalk inside. The center of the lotus is very, very special. Like that, the center of a sadhakas. This is from an ordinary lotus, right? Now, Ambal's Paadham, in order to reach Ambal's Pada Kamalam, a sadhaka has to go and all the way up here. So, between the Agnya Chakram and Sahasrara. So, Agnya Chakram is between the eyelids, if you will. In the forehead, between the eyelids is the Agnya Chakra. And then Sahasraram is way at the top in the Brahmarandam. Between the Agnya Chakra and the Sahasrara, there are 12 very special sthanams. They are called those who are samayinas. Acharya uses the term samayinas. Shriyamati Shrijantau Samayinam. Samayikars are those who do antar antarmukha worship. So in the lotus we saw the Kaulacharas who do Bahirmukha worship, that means external worship, whereas in order to reach Ambal's Padadvayam, Padadvaya Prabha Jaalam, in order to experience that Prabha, the Kanti of Sri Lalitambika's Padadvayam, the sadhaka has to cross 12 stages between Agya and Sahasrara. Dvayam means 2, das means 10. So 12 stages that leads to Brahma, Jiva Brahma Aikyam. At that time, if the reason for using samayacharas is because this is not an external worship. I cannot just take the external puja that we do. I mean, external puja is also important, but Srila Lalita Sahasranama especially gives so much importance to antarmukha worship. That means from inside. So, in order to reach the Pada Kamalam of Sri Lalitambika, a sadhaka has to take his Shakti, Jiva Shakti, all the way up to the Sahasrara, crossing the 12 stages between the forehead, the Agnya Chakra, and the Sahasrara. At that time, if a sadhaka reaches that stage, not just one Lakshmi, but all the Siddhis, all the Ashtalakshmi Siddhis are bestowed to that sadhaka, and they are bestowed as permanent sampat. See, if we get a car or if we get a nice comfort, say have AC, it can work for some time, but it's not a permanent sampat, it's not a permanent wealth. Whereas Ambal's Padham is permanent wealth, because when we reach that stage, when a sadhaka reaches that stage, that is the eternal wealth of Shiva. That's what Ambal's Padham will give. That's why Acharya says, this Padham, your Padham, Amma, Tvat Pado, Sarojam Tvat Pado. How did they even compare it to a lotus flower? There is no match, Amma. Yours is clearly winning over. That's the Nama here, right? Padadvaya Prabha Jala, Parakrita Saroruha. It clearly wins over, Amma, because it does not just give external wealth, but it gives Shivam, the internal, the eternal wealth of Shiva is bestowed by this Pada Kamalam. So, while the external lotus flower only gives a place of residence to Lakshmi Devi, the Pada Kamalam of Sri Lalitambika provides permanent Aishwaryam. In fact, there is a Nama, there are Namas in Sri Lalita Sahasranama that says Shashwati, Shashwat Aishwaryam. Shashwat Aishwaryam means it permanently that Aishwaryam will reside with us. That permanent Aishwaryam is reaching Shivam. That's the power of this Padadvayam. So Acharya says clearly, Amma, Sarojam tat Padav Janani Jayataha, your Padam clearly triumphs, Amma. Chitra Mihakim, what is the wonder in that? Your Padam is clearly triumphing over this lotus, says in this example. Now, in this one, we saw that Acharyas used a very special word called Samainam. Samainam. Samainam means are those Samayanas are those sadhakas who follow samayacharam. This is also a new word that we will be using many times going forward from now onwards. Samayacharam. While we will describe samayacharam in great detail in the subsequent namas, let's try to think of it in the simplest way as antarmukha dhyanam, to worship the Devi inside. Sage Manika Vasakar is given Atma Upadesam from Lord Shiva himself in this very divine temple. It's called Atmanada Swami. It's in the temple is called Avudayar Temple, and the Swami is called Atmanada because he bestows the Jiva Brahma Aikya Sthanam to um, the great sage Manika Vasakar. So that's why this say that happens when the sadhaka, here our saint Manika Vasakar has reached Sahasrara Padmam. So at that time, when he reached Sahasrara Padmam, he has reached Ambal's Padadvayam. Padadvayam means this Jiva has become merged with the Shiva. That's why he's called Atmanada Swami. The Atma, the realization of the Atma. Atmanada Swami is one who bestows the purpose of Atma to reach Shivam. So, saint who are Samayans who do Antarmukha worship take their Jiva's power, go all the way till Sahasrara Padmam to reach Shiva Shakti Aikyam. That indescribable bliss of the divine feet is in two colors in the Sahasrara Chakra. One is the Shukla Varnam, the white color of Shiva, Lord Shiva, and the Rakta Varnam, which is the red color of Goddess Shakti. Shiva Shakti Aikyasthanam is this Brahmarantram here, where there is this 1,000 petaled Sahasrara. At that time, Traipuram Mahaha, there is no word to describe. It is that kind of experience is beyond all the three worlds, indescribable. So Acharya says, Janani Jayataha Chitram Ihakim. What is the wonder in this, Amma? How can they even compare your feet that takes us to Shivam to that ordinary lotus that sleeps at night, that wills in snow? Your Padadvayam clearly exceeds Sarojam. So, Sarojam Tvat Padhav Janani Jayataha Chitramihakam. What is this surprise? That Devi's Padham exceeds the fame of this. Why they even compare it with lotus flower Amma? Yours is clearly superior, says Acharya in the shloka. In Padharavinda Shataka, knowing the greatness of Shri Kamakshi's Padham, Acharya Mukar he has bestowed 100 shlokas on this Padham. It's called Pada Aravinda Shatakam. Pada Aravinda Shatakam, the lotus feet of Goddess Kamakshi. In that, Acharya uses a very beautiful shloka line where he says, Acharya says, Namama Kamakshi Adhikascharya Karanam. Uh, bowing down to Goddess Kamakshi, who has feet. How is her feet? Adiga Ascharya Karanam. It's wonderful. That wonder is indescribable. Even Janani Jayataha Chitramaya, that wonder is beyond words. Not anything in any of these three worlds can describe it. So that it's just a wonder. Is this a lotus? Amma, your feet, they're calling it as Pada Kamalam. Is this a lotus or is this Prabha Jaalam? What is this? When the sadhaka goes through that indescribable Adhika Ascharyam, what is this wonder? I've never seen a form like this. This is not an externally seeing Ambal's feet. This is internally Antarmukam, the Samayans, the Samayacharas, the Samayinars, they see Goddess Lalitambika's feet, Padadvayam, Shiva Shakti, Aikyam in their Brahmarantam. And for that, Ambal's radiance is got through the Shat chakras and it's like a lightning. So that Prabha Jalam, lightning, you can imagine how it is like a flash and how powerful it is, right? That's Prabha Jalam. Yet, it is so soft. Ambal's feet is so soft and it is so protective. So, Vasinyadi Devatas are saying, what is this special Jaalam? Is this like a trick, Amma? You are the indescribable one, your Padadvayam are indescribable, yet your Prabha is so comforting and so protective. What is this? What is this Jaalam, Amma? Padadvaya Prabha Jaalam. So um, the experience of this nama is the 2 feet in one's head. So this lotus is a very special sacred flower. But when so Acharya is asking, when did this lotus flower have a shine? We have all seen lotus flowers. Does it shine? Like so, he's asking, how did they compare it, Amma? So here, Acharya, when we say Sarojam Tvat Padau, this is not just an ordinary lotus that is being described in the Nama by Acharya and Vasinyadi Devatas and Vasinyadi Vag Devatas and Acharya Mukhar and Acharya Adishankaracharya. They are talking about Samayars, Antarmukha worship, where we see the divine lotus of Sri Lalitambika in the Sahasranama, the thousand petaled lotus, right? That is where the divine feet of goddess Lalitambika is worshipped. Sometimes it looks like a lotus, sometimes it has a radiance that is unmatched. So Vasinyadi Vagdevata says, this is Prabha Jaalam. This is like a trick, Amma. What is this very special radiance? How can we ever compare? We should recollect that this is a profound nama because Asanyadi Vagdevatas are describing the namas in the Shakti Kootam. This is the Moola Mantra's third Kootam in the region below the hips. Very powerful Shakti Kootam. And the Paadham that is described here, Padha Dvayam, are the Guru Paduka that we have to worship with great reverence. Guru Paduka, we have to take Guru Padukas on our head. And we always wish that we are able to have the blessings of Guru Paduka on our head. So, worshipping Guru Paduka will give us the jnanam that is always lit. That jnanam, the jnanam of Sri Lalitambika, it is always lit, whether it is day or night. That is why Acharya mentions that unlike a lotus that closes at night, Ambal's Pada Kamalam, which is the Guru Paduka, gives us wisdom that shines bright, whether it is day or night or morning or evening, it's always fully lit with that Prabha Jaalam. Ambal's Paadham is the Guru Paduka that gives us all the Aishwaryam, permanent Aishwaryam, Shashwati, Shashwata Aishwarya, right? Shashwata Aishwaryam. So that Jnanam, once we receive that Jnanam from the Guru Paduka, by worshipping the Guru Paduka, the jnanam will always shine. Jnanam bestowed by Guru will always be there to guide us and protect us. So the deity to remember for this nama is Sri Yogambal in Avudayar Koil in a place called Tirupperunturai. It is the temple is called Sri Atmanada Swami Temple. It is in Pudukkottai district in Tamil Nadu. The deity is Yogambal, Yogambal, one who is attained by yogam. And the speciality of this is, see, when we think of a deity, we usually worship in the form of, we expect a form as the deity, right? But this Yogambal Sannidhi, how it is that the main worship here is the goddess who's in the form of 2 feet. Padadvaya Prabha Jaalam. That is how the goddess is here. Padadvayam. There are 2 feet of the goddess. That's the rupam, which is the arupam. That means the form itself is in the form of the Padadvayam of the Devi. We can darshan the divine feet in the yantra. There is a yantra inside this. We have to see through this window, and there is a yantra. It is a arupa form. Arupa form means that which does not have a rupam, but the Devi's Paadham is there very specially in the yantram. And goddess sits in a yoga peetam. There is a yoga peetam that has 1,000 petal lotus, the Sahasrara. Yogambal's Pada Dvayam, the two divine feet, is drawn in that golden yantra there. So there is a yantra, and in that yantra, a golden yantra in which 2 feet of goddess Yogambal is the main deity there. See, that is our nama here, right? Padadvaya Prabhajalam. Padadvaya, the 2 feet of the Lalitambika, is the deity there. So while thinking about this nama, Padadvaya Prabha Jala Parakrita Saroruha, we have to recollect Devi Yogambal in Tirupperunturai temple. Um, and while worshipping this Nama, the bhava is that we as sadhakas, the way we have to ask, Acharya teaches us this very special concept, how to meditate on this Nama. As sadhakas, Acharya says we should go with the bhavam of Sirasi Dayaya Dehi Charanau. That's what Acharya says. That means, oh Amba, oh Jagannatha, please give us the blessings of Guru Paduka. Dehi Charanau. Give us your Paduka, Guru Paduka, your divine feet. Where do we want the divine feet of Sri Lalitambika? Sirasi Dayaya. Sirasi means on top of my head. So the way we have to meditate on this nama is that we as a sadhaka, we are sitting and antarmukam, that means internally we are meditating on the top of the sahasrara of our head. We are thinking that Guru Paduka, Devi's Padadvayam is on top of our head in the Brahmarantham. And that is how we have to beg and worship to experience the bliss of Shiva Shakti in this very special nama, says Acharya. Very beautifully, Acharya tells us, teaches us how to worship this nama. Acharya says, Sirasi Dayaya, please, in my head, please grant me that bhagyam of Dehi. What is Ambal going to give? Dehi Charano, please give us your 2 feet on top of my head. That's the bhavam here. Um, the other very important thing that we have to internalize is that lotus flower is very, very fragrant. We all know that. So what happens to the lotus flower? All the bees are attracted to the lotus flower because it is very fragrant. But even in that, Ambal's Paadham exceeds. Why? Because Ambal's Paadham is obviously very fragrant, and because it is very fragrant, it can give this very special unique blessings. It is the abode, just like the bees go and sit on the lotus flower because of its fragrance. All the jnanis, look at all the jnanis, they all go and do pranam on Sri Lalitambika's feet. All the devas, all the devatas, all the trimurtis themselves seek the blessings and bow to her feet. Pada Dvayam. So the bhavam is that Sirasi Dayaya Dehi Charano. Great saints have uh, really asked for that blessings to have the 2 feet Pada Dvayam of Sri Lalitambika, Shiva Shakti in their head. That's the top of the Sahasrara, right, in the Brahmarantham. So the upasana, that the meditation that we have to do for this nama, Pada Dvaya Prabha Jala Parakrita Saroruha, is that Sirasi Dayaya Dehi Charano. Please give us the blessings of Guru Paduka, your divine feet on top of our head. That is how we have to internally visualize this nama. And in order to do this very special upasana out of great karuna, and with abundant mercy on each and every one of us, Vasinyadi Devatas has bestowed this very special nama that we have to eternally remember, eternally internalize that Guru Paduka. We want that blessings to have the Guru Paduka on top of our head. That is this nama. As next steps, with Acharya's blessings, let's review the next nama in Sri Lalita Sahasranama. Loka Samasta Shukino Bhavantu. Thank you so much, everyone.